Hello and welcome to the Crazy Angels podcast. I'm here with Pascal, Dennis, and David Logan. Hi, guys.
How y'all doing?
Hello.
Today we are gonna talk about a song which is a political satire, and it's basically about any political jackass you can think of. Pascal, can you please introduce us to the song All Foam No Beer?
Thank you, Levi. This is the golden age of bozo politicians, crazy, extremist, nutty, nut bar politicians, and they exist across the political spectrum. They're extremist idiots, and we all know who they are, and they're around the world, and they seem to be proliferating like the rabbits in Australia. I guess there are no natural predators for them. Anyhow, when dealing with toxic extremist bozos, I've always believed that humor is the best antidote. Humor, goodwill, the sense that we're going to outlast you, you're going to be gone sometime soon, and we'll still be here, and we'll still, treat people with respect and live according to our values. But we're going to make fun of you in the meantime. So the song is called All Foam, No Beer, which is an expression out of Texas, I believe. So someone is all foam, so they're all show, but no beer, there's no substance. In Texas, they also say somebody is all hat, no ranch, which is a very funny expression. I could have called it All Hat, No Ranch. Maybe that's another title, David.
Put it in parentheses.
Put it in In any event, it's called All Foam, No Beer. And I'll just read you some of the lyrics. I should also say in advance that I use a Yiddish term. Yiddish is, in my view, one of the funniest languages in the world. And a friend of mine is a Yiddish scholar. His name is Mel. And he says, in Yiddish, there are 3,429 ways of abusing somebody, but there's only one way to say I love you. So thank you, Mel Mercure, for that. In any event, the word that I use, and this is from Mel, thanks again, Mel, it's schmendrick. So what is a schmendrick? Anybody want to take a guess?
Well, dear. Yeah, I when Pascal came to me with this lyric, I was like, my God, finally there's a song that uses the word schmendrick. Because, okay, so in the best sense of the word, it's kind of somebody who's no backbone and soft, kind of a jerk. And yeah, there's a stronger term in English that I won't use. It's just a real jackass. Somebody's, it actually refers to a certain part of the body, I'll just say, but not the male part.
So
and then there's a
schmendrick.
million sort of different ways to interpret it.
So let me read out the lyric and then pass the baton to David. Folks, you're going to love this arrangement. It's really, really funny. And David will describe the production process and the band, including the fantastic St. Louis Brass and Jeffrey Simfer. In any event, here are the lyrics. Here comes our fearless leader, the anointed one. He's sorry about everything, even things we never done. I'm sore about El Nino and the Yangtze River flood. It's a terrible flood in China. I'm sorry about Sharknadoes, the Titanic, and your lousy hockey club. False empathy, right? All the, I feel your pain. All foam, no beer, get that schmendrick out of here. It's all a paper-thin veneer. All foam, no beer. Now, he may not be the sharpest pencil in the box, but I do believe he's smarter than a bag of rocks. I imagine secret bank accounts in Cayman and Bahrain. That boy's got an ego not quite as big as Spain. All foam, no beer, get that schmendrick out of here. It's just a paper-thin veneer. All foam, no beer. It's lyric poetry,
It's
man.
brilliant,
So, folks, the great lyric poets, from the 18th century, 19th century, British lyric poets, Japanese, Chinese, Persian, Turkish, the Spanish poets. Yeah, study all them. Anyhow, I'll pass the baton to David.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly add on something here. So before we started our podcast, we were sort of discussing, not directing the the politics in any one direction. And in general, I think that most artists genuinely dislike politicians because politicians are the opposite of artists,
Yep.
That's why I have this button here. So yeah, I'm going to use the button today.
Yep.
Artists strive to be authentic and express themselves in a very authentic way. And I believe that artists are the opposite of disingenuous, whereas the politicians are the most disingenuous people. It's incredible, in fact. So I think, and my recommendation was that we don't sort of, paint this any one direction, which is why we went with the introduction of, just choose the politician you don't like, So right now in America, there's Harris and Trump. So if you don't like Trump, songs about Trump. You don't like Harris, songs about Harris. In Canada, Pierre Poilievre and Justin Trudeau. You don't like Poilievre? Insert him. He's the bozo there. You don't like Trudeau? Yeah, So, and I was realizing something, how genuinely lucky we are in our culture, in our society, that we can freely and openly write a song like this. Like, for those who think anything negative about Western society or culture, just imagine writing that song in the 1940s in Russia. You would go to the gulag, or you'd be put up against a post and shot. And I thought about Dmitri Shostakovich, one of my great idols, one of my favorite composers. And he and Stalin kind of had this love-hate relationship. After his Fourth Symphony, which was very avant-garde, this is right when Stalin came into power and was rounding up all the intellectuals and the people who were too smart and shooting them. And Shostakovich was on the list and actually almost got shot. But the guy who was responsible, all of a sudden, his wife went into labor. He ran away. He's like, yeah, whatever, go. And so Shostakovich literally got out, like, almost. He did, but almost got shot. So then he immediately starts writing his Fifth Symphony. And his life, literally, you guys, his life depended on that symphony. And if you listen to the final movement, it's this Russian anthem. Bum 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 ba 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 bum ba ba bum ba da 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 dum dum. Oh my goodness. And it's so Russian and patriotic. And then Stalin was like, who is this Shostakovich? And then that was it. That began the love affair. And so,
wow, what a story.
It's an incredible true story. I don't know if I got all the details correct, but what I do know is that, after that, he would put musical jokes poking fun at Stalin. Just barely, that only a really intelligent person would be like, oh no, it's like Russian patriotic,
Little cliches, right? What?
Little humorous tweaks and little flicking pokes at Stalin's face, kind of things like that. Yeah. But like, using an octatonic scale, which is like a Russian nationalist scale. It's true. Actually, the great five Russian composers, the nationalist composers, Rimsky-Korsakov, I think Prokofiev, Glinka, I forgot all my Mussorgsky. They literally wanted to invent a scale that was uniquely Russian and not European. And they developed what's called the octatonic scale, which is we have a 7-note scale.
Interesting.
And they said, let's do an 8-note. Oops, where are we here? Right. So there are two varieties. There's the half whole. So from your root, you go half whole, half whole, half whole, half whole. And then there's the whole half from your root. Whole half, whole half, whole half, whole
Very
half. And so they're two varieties, and they're really incredible. There's all kinds of use cases, especially if you're writing dramatic or
Wow.
really intense, like combat music for a video game or a scene of tension. Because, like, you know, look here, you can even just, like, for example, oops.
Wow.
Anyway, you can just, and I've used it like a
Very
bazillion
cool.
times in my compositions. Maybe that was not the greatest creative moment I've ever had in my life, but and
No,
by
it's
the way,
fantastic.
for those watching who are like, man, he can barely play the piano, like that's actually true, because there's a big difference between being a musician and being a composer slash producer. So because musicians dedicate their life to the instrument, composers to the notes,
Mhm.
and producers to the tape. We don't use tape anymore, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so I should say maybe they dedicated themselves to the console. That's a better way of explaining it. Anyway, regardless,
Let's hear
we
some
have
of it.
freedom. We have serious freedom in our culture. And Pascal was able to write this song
Yep.
with no fear of retribution. And we are lucky.
Well, unlike people that I know that are dear to me that we've talked about, like Francisco Santos, the whose story is told in the song Nicaragua Moon, who escaped extremism in Nicaragua, like my Venezuelan friends that escaped the brutality of Nicolas Maduro and Hugo Chavez and
Yeah.
Chavismo in Venezuela. And there's yet another stolen election, and there are armored cars picking people up and torturing them as we speak in Caracas.
Yeah.
And that's only two places. You talked about Russia, David.
And then like Jimmy Lai.
Jimmy Lai, one of our great friends, is going to jail in Hong Kong for contravening I think it was called the public order law, because he participated in a pro-democracy
Yeah. And free speech.
and free speech demonstrations. So we're lucky for all our folks in the West.
Yeah, so no matter what anyone wants to say about the Western nations, at least artists are free to make political satire. And we could have called the song whatever politician we disagree with, and we would literally have no worries about being tortured or thrown into jail. So whatever you want to say about Western culture, we do truly have freedom of speech. We do. If I can never mind. We'll move on. Let's listen to the music. I was going to get a little.
Hear this fantastic arrangement, folks. I think you're going to like it.